stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Laura, you all set with attendance? I'd like to get a motion to approve the board minutes from May 14th.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Just as a point of order, to help Laura, when you make your motion, can you give the name? Thanks. We started it last week.
Oh, that's true.
We had a couple.
Oh, abstentions. And then we have a presentation from the Blue Crew Robotics. Oh, yeah? The lights on. Okay. We're going to now have a presentation from the Blue Crew Robotics.
Yes. So this Saturday and Sunday, the Blue Crew Robotics team will be headed down to WPI at down in Worcester, Massachusetts. The team is going to have lodging down there, all fundraising paid for by the team. We're just asking permission from the board to travel out of state overnight for those 2 nights.
Can I get a motion to approve the trip for the robotics team to Worcester, Mass?
So moved. Don Emery.
Second, Tanya DeMello. Any discussion or questions?
Yeah, just want to know how many people will be on this trip?
So there's going to be about 20 students and about 10 adults.
Any other discussion? Andrew?
How many other teams are going to participate?
So for this event, I think they capped it at 21 teams. So this event is a very competitive event, so they decided to go for 2 weekends for this particular event. And next weekend will be graduation for both Spruce Mountain and Mount Blue, so we decided to try and get in for this weekend.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Good luck in Massachusetts to the robotics team. And then we have a presentation from Julie Bolduc of the reading program for K through 5.
Okay. So I'm not putting this in full presentation mode because it blows out beyond the screen. So this will allow you to see the show in its entirety, the slideshow. So HMH Into Reading is our new reading program that was adopted this year. My name is Julie Bolduc. I'm the literacy coach for K-5. I also help to coordinate Title I for grades K through 2 and work closely with Kelly Gilbert in 3 through 5. So, and I gave you a packet just so that you had it for reference, but I'll cover everything here. So in our, why did we choose HMH Into Reading and why does it matter? So prior to this year, each of our grade levels were coordinating and using materials that were specific to that grade level, but we didn't have a systematic program that was K to 5. And so we knew with the current research for the science of reading that we wanted to move in that direction. And we worked closely with the teachers, with our leadership team for literacy, and reviewed a bunch of different programs, and we selected HMH into reading. The reason being is because it incorporates the science of reading. There are many different ways in which information is presented, and there's so many materials to support the teaching and learning that we felt it was the program that best fit. It comes with online manuals as well as hard copied manuals, so teachers can work at home. They can also work collaboratively by saving things that they share with each other over time and build units right within the program. The assessments are all aligned. There's professional development, professional articles. They're all linked within the program that were part of it. So we thought that in terms of the investment, it had the most. So we have My Books, Show It, Know It workbooks, mentor texts, and everything ties in together. The reading, the writing, the grammar, oral language, the vocabulary. So it's pretty comprehensive. So one of the big decisions was for the vertical alignment. And you'll see on the screen that it says knowledge, language, topics, authors. All of those concepts are actually all throughout all grade levels. I know that it's on each grade level up there, but there's a way that it is structured that we hit concepts repeatedly throughout the grades. For example, if you look at the bottom of that slide, you'll see that they study animals. Each year, that concept goes a little bit deeper and more focused. The vocabulary becomes more complex, and the literary skills that they're talking about become more developed as it goes through the grade levels. So that vertical alignment is there, and information is building. Now, not just across the grade levels, but even within a singular grade level, a concept is hit multiple times. It's cyclical. So it's introduced. You'll see if you look at the picture on the right-hand side, literary elements are hit in this particular grade level in chapter 1, but they're hit again in 3, 4, and 5, again in 7 and 8, and hit again in 10 and then in 12. Each time they're hit in a module, that's what a chapter is called in this program. At the end of that module, there is a large assessment, but each week there are progress monitoring assessments. So it builds and checks for understanding repeatedly so that we make sure that there's no gaps and that we can hit the needs of our students when they arise. Each of these modules tie in not only to our literary standards, but you'll notice there that you can see that there are triangles and squares and circles. The green triangle connects to science standards. The orange square connects to social studies standards. And the blue circle connects to language arts and social emotional learning. So we're not just covering concepts that are based in literacy, we're tying concepts across our day that cover multiple curriculum areas. Okay, so this screen shows a screenshot of what they would suggest through the program to be the optimum amount of time that we invest in literacy. That varies per grade level based on our schedules and what we need to fit in, but I will say our administration has done a fabulous job in adjusting the schedule to hit the needs of the program. I'll speak to this a little bit later, but going into next year, we've even made further adjustments to make sure that we can provide for each of those parts. One of the things I want to talk about on this side is the fact that not only the schedule, but we're hitting all of those elements that are part of structured literacy. So we have our foundational skills that we cover using a program called RGR Phonics, about 20 minutes a day. And when we began this program, we had a lot of gaps because we weren't using a phonics program. So we implemented that program, and I'll speak to this later, but we're at a point where we're actually meeting the national norms, and so we won't have to be doing the phonics program into 4th and 5th grade anymore. We can back it down to 3rd grade, and I have the data to show you for that. For the reading and vocabulary, that was our focus this year, because anytime you start a new curriculum, you can't digest the whole thing at once. It's too much. You have to take off small bites and work your way through it. The teachers have to become familiar with the platform. They have to have time to build their units, gather their resources. So we chose to start with reading and vocabulary, and that was their focus for this year. And then we're moving in and building on that. Now with the reading and vocabulary, they also implemented the small group area. That's where we do our differentiation for both ends of the spectrum, and that's happening K-5. We are using multiple stories and skills that are all linked and then covered together. And in that writing and grammar section, one of the pieces about the program that we're so excited about is there's reciprocity with what we're covering. So in reading, if we're reading about a particular fiction structure or nonfiction structure, that's what we're writing about. So we're writing in that same structure. So they're studying it in reading and writing it in writing. So it's a multiple layer, which will produce higher success. So this year was our first implementation year. And it began with having an HMH representative come in on our opening days and presented to both schools. She stayed and worked with us, but we truly didn't get off the ground until October. And so in October, we had, it was approved, and we got work days in October, December, and March. And you'll see those on here. And during those work days, our staff worked diligently to put together their modules, their slideshows. We discussed concerns and barriers. One of the things that the program comes with is called Coachly, and that allows me, if a teacher comes to me and says, "Hey, Julie, I can't figure this out, what do I do?" I can go to Coachly, I can type it in, and someone immediately gets back to me from the company. They'll send resources, they'll show me what to do, so that then I can go and coach the teachers on what they need. And with this, I will also say, when I say they took time, each one of those modules, when they're building their slideshows are anywhere from 85 to 120 slides to get through a module. So it's a lot of work. So they're putting in lots of hours, pulling lots of resources. And the program has an online component called Classcraft, so they pull from that, which has wonderful resources as well. But when you're learning it, you really have to dig in and study those pieces so that you're using them correctly. Okay, this is the fun part. I have a video of the kids, K through 5. So,
Can you Can you show?
I eat healthy food to be healthy.
Okay, can you show us your picture?
So with that, I just wanted to share a few things, feedback from the teachers. And so you have this in front of you, but a few things I wanted to point out. Across the board, K to 5, they absolutely love the vocabulary. And it shows it is the highest performing area that we have received in our NUIAs. For our students this year, they have absolutely blossomed in the area of vocabulary. You can hear the kids saying, I see the word, and using the words that they're learning, and it's wonderful. Some of the other things, this program hits a particular concept. They'll read the story, but they read the story multiple times. And the teachers thought, oh, they're going to get bored reading the story multiple times. But the way that it's structured is each time they do a read, it's a different focus on the same story. So students that perhaps couldn't navigate that text initially, by the third, fourth read of that story, they're feeling successful. And they're reading the text that their peers are reading, and they're discussing it, and they're discussing it on a deeper level because of the multiple hits. And so they're finding that to be very helpful. Again, the variety of text and genres, authors, we all get stuck on stories that we enjoy as teachers, and we tend to use those. And this program kind of gets us out of that rut, and we start to explore new things that we perhaps didn't explore in the past. So this is structured to do that. One of the other things is that the anchor charts and materials build. So students, this is our first year, but we know next year and the year after, they'll recognize those materials and be referencing them based on what they saw from previous instruction. So those are just a few things. I'm not going to read all of the bulleted list to you. And then this is the celebration piece. So as I spoke earlier, our phonics and foundational instruction comes from a program called Really Great Reading. And Really Great Reading hits on phonemic awareness, phonics, decoding, encoding, that whole process of how to take a word apart and solve it. And so when we did our assessments last year, those were our scores. You can see in 3rd grade, we still had about 35 students or so that were struggling. This year, we're down to 9. And so that's a huge, huge increase in terms of performance. And that's across the board, and to the point where we were using RGR all the way to 4th grade because we needed to. Next year, we don't. We can stop and match the national norm and be done the phonics instruction in 3rd grade. And so that's something worthy of celebration. And so that's our data from RGR. We just recently finished our NUIA test for grades 3 through 5. And so you will see that last year, what our scores were. And then for this year, you can see that there's a huge increase for grades 3 and grades 4. Grade 5 maintained, but I want to say to you, one of the things that our representative from HMH said to us, she said, now I don't want you to be alarmed because your NUIA scores may come back in and they may drop because you're using a new program and teachers are going to take time to get into that program and they won't get through all the modules, and so you may see a drop. Our teachers worked super hard and we didn't see a drop. We saw that they maintained or increased, so that's worthy of celebration. And then moving forward, you'll notice on this slide that there are certain things that as the teachers began talking, like for example, we started in October this year, we'll be able to start in September, and our units will line up more with events that are happening. For example, there's a patriotic unit in 3rd grade, and it lines up perfectly with Veterans Day. So they're excited for that, to have things line up. Also, you'll notice some things are in pink versus blue. That's because administration has already addressed those concerns and taken care of them for us. So like scheduling has been addressed, and thankfully this summer we have 2 days of professional development for each grade level to work on getting those modules done, so we're not doing it in the midst of the year, so teachers can be hitting the ground running. So that's wonderful. There already, you saw pictures of the focus walls that are up, but our administration has also said, we will, in your budgets, please put in what you need. We didn't know going into the year what we would need for supplies. We hadn't done the program. And so this year, we're going in with what we need for notebooks and binders and all of that. And last but not least, if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer. And if I can't answer you directly tonight, I can definitely get back to you. So if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Yes?
This sounds exciting. You covered quite a bit of the questions that I had as the presentation was going on, so thank you. I really appreciate that there is literacy through the multi-curriculum content areas, because literacy tends to be sort of a block, or stumbling block to progress in those different classes, especially as students get older. I'm wondering, with regard to the assessment and data tracking, is that done incrementally, or how often? So like, I'm wondering if a teacher, when it's being implemented, not course correct per se, but where they have differentiation, are those groups able to be flexible depending on where the assessment results lie, or?
Absolutely. And so we have multiple layers of assessment that we have built in. So First of all, in HMH, there are the progressive assessments that happen each week. Again, because we're in the implementation year, they did, I want to say dabbled, like they tried out some of those assessments. This next year, our goal is they're all linked online, and then they go to a portal where we can pull up results, which will pull out strands, which then we can say, oh, we taught this particular concept in this module, and these 4 students struggled. So that then the teacher, and it will also say, use these resources. This is where they struggled, pull these resources, work in a small group, and then you can reassess. And it provides those reassessments to do that. The other piece, just so that you're aware, because I think it's important, in both of our buildings, we have built a data wall where we're tracking the students' data across and color coding so that we are looking at the tiers of instruction that need to happen on an ongoing basis.
That's fantastic. That's really helpful with RTI or any students that might be referred for additional services. So that's fantastic.
And I will tell you, hands down, I will fight. I will always fight for triangulating that data.
Yes.
It's never based on one data point.
Yes. And then my last question is I was thinking about the particular concerns that teachers may have expressed after implementation. I think that was in one of your slides.
Yes.
And I noticed that scheduling for sufficient time is in pink. So just to help me clarify, is that something that's going to be looked at for the upcoming school year?
They've already adjusted it. So when we started, most of our blocks were already established before we began the program. And as we were implementing the program, we noted that, oh, we had enough time for this, but then we were really tight in this area. And so in conversations with our administration, they made those adjustments for next year's calendar.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just have a comment. My granddaughter in 2nd grade absolutely loves this program and is so much more into learning to read now than she was. She's always, come on, Gran, can we read?
Oh, thank you. Any other questions?
Tanya?
I think it's very impressive that during an implementation year, you've already had growth in test scores. That's pretty positive.
I can't take credit, so I certainly would say credit to our teachers and to our support staff and all the hard work they put in. So, yes.
Anybody else? Andrew?
I've been around about 50 years, around education, student, whatever, and I've seen reading programs come and go, and some work better for some kids and some work better for others, but it always seems like we're constantly changing. Does this look like you've reached the point where, I know adjustments will need to be made, but how long are we going to have this program before we decide we want to keep it?
So I do have an answer for that.
I'm
Yeah.
not trying to discourage you, I just
No.
want to know where, it seems like the first year is successful, but okay, 3 years, 5 years. 7
So
years.
when we purchased the program, we purchased it for a 5-year. So we know for sure it's here for 5 years. I can't imagine, I will tell you, every single one of my, and I can speak for K-3. Every K-3 teacher has said, if you get rid of RGR, we're going to pick it because we love this program. It works. And they're seeing it in the data. So they do not want to get rid of RGR. They're seeing their kids. We have kindergarten kids that can tell you what a phoneme is, what a grapheme is. They're stretching words out. They're spelling words. I just did assessments today on 2nd grade sight words, spelling them. I can't begin to tell you the success rate compared to previous years. It's amazing because they're learning the strategies. They're not memorizing a list. And I think back to my years of learning spelling. If you ask me the words on Friday, I did great on the test, but don't ask them on Monday because they went out the window when I learned my new list. The kids aren't learning that way now. We're teaching them how to be good spellers because we're going to the root of it. And as far as this program, the only changes I could see is as the program itself makes adjustments, and we have to keep up with those adjustments. But right now, the goal is to stick with it because we know the science of reading works.
Andy,
Is this program being used exclusively in Maine, New England, or is this a nationwide or worldwide program?
It is being used all over the United States. We do have several schools locally. I would have to call on Chris to be able to name all of them that are using Into Reading, but yeah, RSU10 is using it. We've even talked about collaborating for professional development with them in the future because they've been using it a year longer than we have. And so it's always nice to learn from someone else and troubleshooting, that sort of thing. So
Okay, that's a good thing because we get too much inter-district mingling with people changing jobs and changing communities. And it's hard to go from one school system to another. But this sounds like it's making it a little bit more uniform.
it certainly has made it more uniform. And I will say we have worked so hard to make K to 5 a system that is connected through instruction, assessment, vocabulary, instructional strategies, the words that we're using as staff, because we know that builds success for our kids.
anybody else? Dawn?
I feel silly, but there's no stupid question. What's HMH?
HMH, it used to be called Houghton Mifflin Hardcore, but people evidently were struggling with that pronunciation, so they changed it and they just call themselves HMH.
And RGR?
RGR is Really Great Reading. It is another company, and we shorten it just to help with saying it so we don't have to say the whole thing.
Thank you.
Sorry, one last question.
No.
That 5th grade pocket, just out of curiosity, in your opinion, or is the data showing that the percentage is roughly the same because that window in cognitive language and literacy is not open as readily as the younger grades? I'm just curious as to the percentage.
I would say based on my view of the data and tracking those students throughout their program, they didn't have access to RGR in the full capacity like our current 3rd and 4th grade. And so they were missing some of those strategies in detangling words. I would also say with any program, and specifically with HMH, right? It builds. And so 5th grade is entering HMH in a year where they should have had multiple years of foundation, and we're throwing concepts at them that they don't have the foundation under. They're doing really well on their assessments that are associated with HMH, but you're not seeing it play out in the bigger field because that transfer, my guess would be because the foundation isn't quite there yet. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Anybody else? Danielle?
I just want to give a little anecdote for that. My daughter is in 5th grade, and her reading Nubia scores went up significantly this year. It was phenomenal. So even though obviously the average for the whole grade is the same, individually I think we're seeing probably more students increasing. Obviously I don't know beyond my own child, but I have to imagine she's not the only one.
And I would say that in specific areas, like the area of vocabulary, we shot through the roof. You're not seeing the breakdowns, but in those areas there was a significant climb across all grade levels.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Julie. It sounds like it's a real good success.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Tanya is going to give us a presentation about the dropout committee.
I'm going to try to read fast. We held our second dropout prevention on May 18th. If I'm being honest, after the first meeting, I was frustrated. It didn't feel like we actually acknowledged that we had a problem. This meeting felt very different. We have had 28 students leave our high school this year. Thankfully, we have an amazing adult ed program that has provided a much appreciated safety net for these students. We wanted to find out why these students were leaving high school for adult ed. So our own Don Emery conducted some exit interviews with some students. He collected data, which Robin then organized into a summary defining the reasons why. The interviews revealed that students rarely leave for just one isolated event, but more of a gradual process of detachment. The most common mentions were academic frustration, administrative challenges, emotional overwhelm, lack of coping mechanisms, ineffective support systems, disciplinary practices, social pressures, mental health challenges, and lack of meaningful adult interaction. The high school has already put some practices into place to help with some of these areas, recognizing that staff needs to be united and content for students to feel that way. There have been some team building exercises. They are restructuring alternative ed to better support students, adding more community-based social workers, which has already happened, grade level PLCs to identify at-risk students, a new advisory program, new work study class, JMG, and we talked about possibly lowering the recommended credits to graduate. We are higher than most main schools, and this may be discouraging to some students. Overall, I feel the high school is recognizing there are issues and has put into place and will implement more programs to help students stay in our high school. I look forward to meeting in the fall to continue these discussions and encourage the admins and staff to continue to make Spruce Mountain High School better.
Any questions for Tanya? I have a couple questions.
Okay.
How many people are on the committee?
There were, we had a public rep that wasn't there this last time, so 8.
And Dawn, do you have any input on the interviews or that you did?
I really learned a lot of what these kids are going through, and I was really impressed with a lot of these kids who actually took responsibility. I kind of went in there thinking, oh, they're just going to blame administration, they're going to blame the teachers for everything, and a lot of them said, you know what, it's me too, man. I'm here because of some of the decisions that I've made. So I tried to give them props for that. And I do want to say the JMG program, they love it. All of them spoke very highly of that. So good stuff. They're good kids.
Maybe we can have, it's Zach Keene that does the JMG program, is that right?
Yeah.
Maybe we can have him come and present at some point in the fall and get some more good information and, you know, keep following up on all of this so that we can keep our kids in school.
Yes.
Thank you, Tanya.
Yeah.
No public comments, so we'll move right on to Mason. Do you have anything?
Yes, so earlier this week, our track team competed in the Mountain Valley Conference Championships. There's a list of students who have finished with podiums, which will placed in podium, which will be sent to Laura and be put in the minutes. Because we have so many wonderful athletes that a lot of them have placed here at Spruce Mountain High School. One thing that the track coach wanted me to mention is, let's see, she started teaching in the district in 2018, and she has not seen a group like this. So many kids placing so highly in our track and field teams, and she's just very proud of our students, and I think our student body also recognizes that. So we are all very proud.
Thank you, Mason, and thank you to the track coach and to the members of the track team for doing as well as they did. So, any board member comments? Andrew?
It was my pleasure to attend the School of Rock presentation this past Friday. It was Diane Fennelson's final show as she's retiring. At the end of the show, she asked those who've been involved over the past 20 years, roughly, to come up. About nearly half the room went up because they'd either been in or been part of the productions in one way or another. And it's nice to see that involvement on another side besides academics and the arts, to involve so many people in I'm overwhelmed by the talent in this community in so many different directions. Leading into that, I'm also on the Foster Tech Board. We had a meeting a couple weeks ago, and what they're finding is almost all the programs are filling up, and it's getting competitive. So I'm really glad to see these reading programs take place so the kids have their basics before they get there, and so they're still interested in academics, so they can go on to these programs, because these programs open up so much to so many. One of the guys on the board, and I hope I don't embarrass him, but he was watching the construction kids build a shed, and he's looking up. He looks and he sees about 4 kids that he had when he was the principal. He says, I kicked every one of those kids out. In fact, I think there was 2 others up there, but I wasn't sure. But he says these kids now have direction, they have meaning, and they're doing really well. So that's what I really like about having access to the vocational programs, as well as our wonderful academic programs. Like Mason's going to be going on to the University of Maine. Skylar did as well, and I know others will be as well. And one thing we could use to help out foster tech, if anybody's got a good used police cruiser sitting around, we've had donations of 2 of them, but it's kind of like looking at gift horse in the mouth. One needs $11,000 worth of work, so that's going to the crusher. Now we're going to need about 4,000, but they use that as a training vehicle for getting people in and out of cars, operations, that kind of thing. But we need a decent police group to figure something out there. And their graduation is Monday night up to Mount Blue High School. So if anybody wants to attend, it's an amazing event. My son went there, and they asked halfway through the ceremony if anybody in the audience had been involved in the program one way or another, either attended them or parent or whatever. And half the people in that room stood up. And just amazing how these programs touch so many lives in our communities. And I know I want to thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Anybody else have any comments? Michelle?
I was just thinking about, I don't know if I'm allowed to bring this up at this point, but getting back to the dropout committee presentation, is that okay? Okay. I was thinking about the attendance concern at the younger levels, and I don't want to suppose that I know this, but more or less an inquiry, or just to put it out there, that there seems to be a correlation between attendance at a young age and dropout rate at a later stage. And so if I know it's kind of like not fire, but like which issue or which things we can be most effective with first. But if we could kind of work to keep that in mind, to draw sort of like a connection point and identify those students at the younger ages, I think there's discussion about looking at that kind of side issue, but being able to pull in some of that work together with the dropout committee, I think we will work toward prevention versus trying to catch something at the as they're older, and we'll work more into a preventative mode. Just a thought.
To add to that, we have been chatting about doing absentee, I don't know what to call it, but to meet with the ad hoc absentee committees in the buildings on late arrival Wednesdays. I spoke with Darcy, and of course at this point everybody's doing transitioning, so we're going to wait until the fall, but we're going to take turns, different board members each time, and go in and meet with the committees and see, is there something we can help them with? Is there something we can offer as a board? And just so that we're aware of what's going on, what they're doing, and to see if there's any way we can help policy-wise. Or so I do think, like you said, if we can start in the younger grades and get them valuing education early on, it's going to help us in the long run.
Yeah, I think over the summer, we'll have some communication among the board members, and we'll kind of set that up with the admins and who we need to set it up with and get that going, because I think attendance is a place where we have to start looking. Anybody else? Okay. So now, Scott Albert, you're up.
Good evening. This is Mason's last meeting, so I just want to say thank you, Mason, for what you've done for the board. You've been a great representative of the students. You've kept us in line quite often, and we appreciate what you've done. So congratulations, and thank you for being part of the board. For meetings, we had mediation with the Teamsters. I also attended the Foster Tech meeting with Andrew. They discussed new staff, they discussed costs. They recently had a program audit, and they scored very well. They had an outside organization come in and audit all their programs and what they're doing, and they got some big thumbs up, which doesn't surprise me because it's very impressive up there. Also attended the dropout prevention meeting that Tanya already gave you an update about. Also attended the Drummond Woodson Superintendent Seminar. We discussed collective bargaining agreements, earned paid leave, paid family medical leave issues that are a big part of what Drummond Woodson helps work on for the districts.
Any questions for Scott? Okay, thank you. Patrick.
Changed it. Oh, it works. Did you update this thing while I was gone? Thank you. Good evening. So we've had a lot going on at the elementary school this last month. We're just finishing up with our main through-year testing for math and reading. Today, we got everybody done. 5th grade finished science last week. Last night, if you were lucky enough, the 4th and 5th grade put on a play at the middle school. It's Madagascar Kids. It was an amazing job. It was packed. The kids were so good. I don't know how they get up there and have that talent and sing and do all that. It was amazing. So I want to thank Jocelyn French and Ashley Dawson, who were the leaders of that group. If you get a chance next year, come and watch those 4th and 5th graders because they've got talent. Today at the elementary, the planetarium came. It's a 3rd grade event that the kids love. They've been studying rocks, minerals, and volcanoes, so they brought the planetarium in. The kids get to crawl inside of it, and they project it all over the inside of it, and they learn about the Earth's crust, all the different types of rocks, and then how volcanoes performed, and every kid that came out of it was so excited. So I don't know how many geologists we're going to have after this, but we may have a few. Tomorrow, Otis Credit Union is coming to discuss financial literacy with the 3rd grade in terms that they'll be able to understand. They're going to learn about goods and services, jobs and taxes. And I was like, I don't know if we want to teach them that at this young age. That may damper their desire later on. But they're going to be given Otis bucks, and then they have to figure out what they can afford and can't afford. So looking forward to that. This is the first year that we've done it. 4th grade, in a torrential downpour, went to the New England Livestock Expo at the Windsor Fair. They go there every year. They get to see the different agricultural things that are available in Maine, different ways that people can make a living through agriculture. They got to do a simulated lamb birth, some of them. I don't think anybody was scarred. They learned about germs and hand washing. They got to look at different furs, bones, and skulls. And then they learned how to take wool and turn it into yarn, and then they were able to braid it into bracelets. And then they also learned about the different types of soils and the levels of soil. So a good time for the 4th graders. Good Vibes, they do it 2 or 3 times a year. They go to the Woodlands. The 5th graders from the Good Vibes clubs goes there, and they get to socialize with those older individuals. And it's great because I used to do something like this in Wyoming, and the 5th grade kids, they were playing games with them. And I've always found 5th grade kids to sometimes be a little cocky. And they play these, people who are in their 70s and 80s, and they can't understand why these guys are throttling them. And you talk to them, and the older are like, one of the guys I talked to was like, how long have you been playing this game? 80 years. Yeah, he might know a thing or two about this game, but just to get the kids to see that, you know what, just because you're young doesn't mean you're going to go in there and clean up. They got to sing karaoke. They played Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader with states and capitals. And they also were playing like bingo and other like card games and other things. So that's a great thing that we've done for the last few years and will continue to do. Field Day. So our field day is going to be June 11th. We'll have 3 zones again, the fun, the wet, and the chill. 3 bounce houses, 2 of them wet, 1 of them dry. We have 44 parent volunteers and 15 National Honor Society students that are going to come down and help us out. And as far as the reading presentation, having gone into the classroom, the one thing that I have really enjoyed is just the quality of the vocabulary and the conversations. Like, these kids are reading stories, and it's, growing up in, I honestly had no idea where Maine was growing up in Wyoming. I just knew it was out that way someplace. But they're like I was. They have no idea what's out west, and for some of them to get to read stories about someplace different and away from Maine, it gives them the ability to travel without actually traveling. And just being able to read using the text and defending their answers, I think is a skill that they need for life. And I like that. And one of the classes, I went into a 3rd grade class and they were talking about prefixes, suffixes, and root words. And I'm listening to these 3rd graders have this conversation. And I'm like, there are some adults that can't have this conversation. And that class, every single kid on the Maine through year for reading was proficient. Just listening to that group of kids talk was one of the most impressive things I saw this year. School attendance, last time I was here, it was 288, and we're at 284 now. And that is all I have.
Any questions for Patrick?
Thank you.
Yes, you could. Thank you. Jen and Cody.
Good evening. I would like to take a moment just to give a special welcome to the new school board members. I also would like to take a moment to introduce myself. I really appreciated when Holly had you guys go around and say a little bit about yourself, even though Kathy squirmed a little bit. That was kind of funny too. But I think a lot of us have a lot of things in common. I was born and raised in Livermore. I graduated from Livermore Falls High School as an Andy, went to UMF, and then immediately came back to work for Livermore Falls High School. During my interview, they asked me, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I said, well, I'm going to be here, so you may as well hire me now, because I'm not going to give up. And it worked. And thankfully, because this is where I want to be, and this is the community that I love. So one of the things that where was it that I wanted to share? Like many of you, I have children in the community. I have many nieces, nephews, little cousins, and all of that stuff. So I just want you to know that when I do my job, I think of all those things. I think of all those kids. And being a teacher, I feel like I have a lot more children in this building than I have birthed. I can put it to you that way. I would also like to give a special shout out to you guys because at the last meeting you guys approved the abroad trip. And Kim Bryant had shared with you all that that trip has been going on for years and years. And I can confirm that's true. 21 years ago, I did the trip with my classmates. And we went to England, and it really instilled a love of travel for me and learning. And I have an update to when I originally wrote this report. I wanted to share that when I went, there were several parents that went on the trip with us. And so my dream was, God, I cannot wait to do that with my children one day. And I'm going to start saving before I even have children so that I can make it happen. And because you guys voted, my daughter's class will be going to Costa Rica in spring break of 2028. They just had a meeting in the library, and it was full. I dropped my daughter off there. She just kind of came in late from it. Unfortunately, we've been waitlisted because there have already been 30 kids that signed up just from that meeting right now. So if they get enough to fill a second bus, we're sure as hell going to be on it together, and I'm going to thank all of you for that. Because the decisions you make, it's like a ripple through time, right? I am still so grateful for the school board that approved it when I was able to go. So I just think about that when you guys make decisions. It's a lifetime that it can impact. So enough about me, but for those of you that are new, I am the Section 504 Coordinator and Assistant Special Ed Director. And typically I focus on sharing information about 504, and Sherry really kind of shares the majority of information about special ed, and we are on opposite nights. So I'm going to keep it really simple for those of you that might not know what a 504 is. A 504 is a plan that kids can qualify for if they have a disability or health issue that significantly impacts their ability to access their education. So a lot of our students that we have, they might have anxiety that impacts their attendance, or they might have ADHD that makes it really difficult for them to calm down enough to really learn what's going on in the classroom. And in those cases, oftentimes they just need simple accommodations that can help them access their learning at the same rate of their peers. So some kids just might need something as simple as extra time on tests, or they might need preferential seating away from distractions. You would be surprised how giving a kiddo with ADHD a seat away from their best friend really helps them learn. And the plans are simple things like that we can do. It does not provide specially designed instruction or anything like that. In our district, we kind of go above and beyond the legal guidelines because we choose to meet yearly on these students. And during those meetings, parents, students, classroom teachers, and even more than just classroom teachers, we invite the RTI staff, Title I staff. If the student has a health plan, we invite the nurse, we invite administrators, we invite whoever is a benefit to the child and knows them. And then of course parents are always welcome to invite outsiders, we call them, but they might be community case managers or other people that work with their child. So that is just a brief little tidbit of what a 504 plan is. It's one of those things that, other than paying for my position and a tiny bit of budget, it is free for the district to do. So I know Julie talked about how wonderful our staff is, but it is truly our staff that make the 504 plans work because they get a copy of the plan and it's their responsibility to follow it. So when it comes to numbers, for Spruce Mountain High School, we have 48 students at the high school with 504 plans. And the last time I spoke to you in March, there were 48. We do have 2 referrals in the process. In the middle school, we have 25 students with 504 plans. In March, there were 24, and there are currently 0 in the referral process. At the elementary school, there are 26 students with 504 plans, and in March, there were 24. Currently, there are no active referrals, but I do have a parent that has a packet that they assured me they would be returning. At the primary school, we have 13 students as of today, and in March, we had 12, currently with 1 referral waiting to go. So that puts us at a total of 112 students with active 504 plans, 3 in the referral process, and 1 potential referral coming in. I'm just trying to decide if I want to go there or not. So we have seen an increase in 504s over the last several years. And I know that traditionally there have been some questions about that. And one of the ways that we have utilized 504s that wasn't necessarily done in the past, and not because there is anything wrong with the way the previous 504 coordinator handled things, it's just 504s are starting to become more and more common. And as they're becoming more and more common, we're learning from each other and implementing new things. And so we find that one of the reasons why our 504 numbers have grown so much is because a lot of times students are utilizing a 504 before they try the special ed route, IEP route. Or they might have an IEP and have met their goals, but they still need accommodations. So instead of keeping them on an IEP, we're slowly transitioning them to a 504 with accommodations and see how that goes. And then once they're successful with that, then they're pure mainstream everything. So I hope that helps some of you who might not know what a 504 plan is. And you're welcome to ask questions.
Any questions for Jenna? I guess you're all set. Thank you. Robin.
Good evening, and welcome to new school board members. For adult education, I usually start with student enrollment. So at the March 26th board meeting, I reported that we had 176 actively enrolled adult learners in an academic program. As of today, we have 187, so an increase of 11 students. The number of current workforce training students stayed the same at 18. And last month in our county-wide digital literacy programming, we served 94 community members, up from 78 in the month of March. Our certified clinical medical assistants finished all of their externship hours, and all of them passed their national boards. We're very excited about that. We had 5 in apprenticeship opportunities at the hospital, and we are hoping that all 5 will take the positions in the practices that they were in. Our adult ed commercial is now live at the Narrow Gauge Cinema. I emailed that to everyone just before the board meeting, so maybe when you get home you can take a look at that. We shared a state grant with 3 other neighboring school districts. We pooled our funds together for marketing, and we hired a videographer, and we each got a 30-second clip that will run for a year at Narrow Gauge, and we also have a 60-second clip that is like a QR code, and if you're at the movies you can kind of scan it with your phone. It goes right to your local adult ed. And we're very pleased with the outcome. So if you go to the movies, you'll probably see that if you get there early enough. And lastly, our graduation ceremony will take place on Sunday, June 7th, immediately following the high school graduation. I'll be sending out a formal invitation to all board members and staff members at Spruce Mountain. And the invite will include all the names and which programs that they are graduating from.
That's it. Any questions for Robin? Michelle.
The increase in enrollment, is some of that due in part to good weather and people tend to come out more? Is it credit recovery at the last minute to try to graduate, or can you just, do you naturally see an increase in enrollment this time of year?
So naturally, yes, we do. It was not as much as we had anticipated. Usually we see a huge spike in April, kind of like, oh no, the finish line is almost here, graduation's coming, and we'll see an influx of 20 to 30 students during that time. So 11 really surprised us. Our graduating numbers are down this year, but for those of you who were on the board previously, I gave an update about that a few months ago, that the literacy levels that we were seeing at intake were much lower than before. So it's taking a little bit longer for students to get through the program, which is okay. That's fine, everyone's on their own timeline, but those numbers are decreased a little bit from last year.
Anybody else? Andrew?
I've been able to attend the your program for graduation. I've always been impressed because your classes are nearly half the size of the graduating high school class in the morning. How many do you have this year?
So we will have, as of yesterday, we had 23 high school completion graduates. We'll have around 20 workforce training students that'll be graduating as well.
Anybody else with questions for Robin?
Okay, great.
Thank you
very
Robin.
much.
I have cards here for everybody to sign for retirees. So I'm going to pass some this way and some that way. You can sign them, get everybody on there before the meeting's over. Oh, okay. Okay, Sharon, your turn.
I was waiting for Wayne first. Welcome, new members. Ooh, I'm a little too close. I don't really have much to talk about. Working on the cafeteria project, as you can see, they got all the painting done. The decals are supposed to be coming in the mail, hopefully tomorrow. We have a crew coming in on Monday to put all the decals up, and that should finish the project. Other than that, gearing up for summer feeding. We'll be at the middle school. We have the rec program, Century 21, EYS, and I'm not sure of anything else. People are still coming into me. This will be my first year working on that, so I'm waiting for other people to contact me. Other than that, that's it.
Any questions for Sharon? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Wayne, your turn.
Welcome to all the new school board members. First, I have two retirees this year, Tom Brooks and Tim Cody. Tom's been with us for 17 years. And Tim's, he's been here just shy of 17 years. They was actually just a few months apart when they came in. So I wish them luck with their retirement. We still have one out on medical right now. My department will be ramping up next week for graduation prep. We're setting up the stage and all that, so that'll keep us pretty busy, getting the grounds all cleaned up and ready to go. Busy time of year around the corner, cleaning rooms, waxing floors. There's going to be a lot of vacations coming up for a lot of the staff that haven't already taken theirs. They usually tend to hold on, being a bus driver as well, driving their routes. So some of them will be taking their time in the last of June, the 1st of July. And right now I'm busy with getting the two projects ready for the primary, starting right after the school ends with the roof project that was okayed, and also the boilers. They'll start with the roofs on June 16th, the day after school gets out, and the boilers, they'll start demoing that on June 22nd. So thank you all for that. That'll be great. That's great news to have our schools stay open. We had a few issues this year with the boilers, so I was thankful with that. So other than that, that's all I have for tonight. Any questions?
Any questions for Wayne? Don Emery.
Did you look at me that way? Anyway, I just wanted to wish you luck. I hope everybody's safe during this time with all that work going on over there. And I just really appreciate you for all the work that you're doing and staying on top of it.
All right, thank you so much.
I sent you an email today.
You did?
I did.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Check it out.
I was a little busy, so I apologize. I will look at
that's
that.
no problem. All right, thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like it's been forever since I've been here. Welcome all the new school board. I'm Norma Jackman, the transportation director. I also grew up in Memorial Falls. My kids all graduated from Memorial Falls. So it's been a while since I presented. Haven't seen everyone in their new positions, so congratulations on that. I really don't have a lot to report. This year is winding down, which is the busiest part of the year. Matt Brennan came and rode one of our buses, 2 weeks ago, I think, on a Friday morning to get a taste of that. I invited him back to come back on a Friday afternoon because it's much more fun in the afternoon. When behaviors seem to have escalated and we have a lot of field trips and sports trips going on right now. I also want to remind the public, for those interested in employment with our district, we train our bus drivers in-house. I'm a certified bus trainer. So if they are employed with us as a custodian, we do that for them. I ordered the new propane 77 passenger bus 2 weeks ago. Estimated delivery time for that is July 21st. Our school bus inspection is Wednesday, June 24th. I also wanted to let you all know we're having some major rust issues with our older part of our fleet. I brought a binder if anybody would like. I've been taking pictures of all the issues. So I made this binder if anybody would like to look at it. I labeled the pictures with the number of the buses. We really need to plan ahead to start looking at that financially. We have bus number 1, that's a 2009, bus number 4 is 2009, bus 27, which is a wheelchair bus, is a 2011, that's like almost beyond repairable. Bus 11 and 28, I've already pulled off the road. Those are both extensive rust and rot. And bus 32, the wheelchair bus, we're running right now, but it's beyond repair after this year. We won't be able to run it. That one's 13 years old. And I would also like to ask, because we have a new board, I would like to set up at some point before school starts next year to discuss some route changes, pool stops in our transportation areas, because in our policy there's certain things that I would like to go over with you before school starts in the fall. And that's all I got. And if anybody would like to look at this, just let me know.
Tanya.
How many buses are we talking that are?
Right now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Did they purchase them all like at the same?
5 of them were 2009s.
No, it's not. We have one coming.
Yeah, we'll have a total of 3 well, I call them brand new ones when this one gets to it.
Don.
Hi. Thank you. Is this a surface rust issue or is this actual framework? It's frame?
Yeah.
And what is the standard on repairs?
He's been doing the best that he can.
We have a whole new group of a state police team that came in last year, all new hires, a lot of them retired, and they're being very picky.
Sticklers.
Yes.
And I just didn't know if there was a law, state law on what type of repairs can be done, the framework.
Framework, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's certain things, especially on a wheelchair bus, it's mostly around the doors, the rear doors, and he actually saved bus 11 right now. He took the door off bus 11 and put it on 32 so we could use it. So, I mean, which is huge, because we always need to have a spare wheelchair bus. We have 2 wheelchair vans. We bought a couple vans last year, wheelchair vans for that reason, in case of an emergency for one, or we have access to those too.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Norma? Thank you, Norma.
Thank you.
Chris Hollingsworth.
Okay. I'll try to be quick. I do want to thank you, Norma, for clarifying when you talked about your old fleet, it was your buses and not your employees. I was a little confused. But you have 2 retiring, so I wanted to make sure. Also, of course, you know, they didn't stay for the whole night, but I want to publicly thank Julie. She's done a ton of work, as well as Kelly Gilbert, who's at the elementary school. Without them, this program wouldn't be where it is, because they're right on the front line, and when teachers have issues, they can talk to them, and they go into their classes and help them out. So, a big thank you to those 2 for really taking on this program and working with the teachers to really make it work. Because it's a huge program, there's a lot to it, and if teachers were just left to themselves without that kind of support, they would have definitely struggled. So I think we're very lucky to have Julie Boldick and Kelly Gilbert working with us. And talking about curriculum a little bit, finished up the meeting with all the curriculum teams this last week, but really all year I've been talking to them. One of the things that came up over and over again was the need for more time, especially at the younger levels. Their days are so full that they don't feel as though they always have the time they need. So we've taken some steps to help with that. Of course, you know, we can't make the day longer, and we couldn't agree them to just stay without, you know. So one of the things that we decided as really as a district with some of those curriculum teams is that one of the things we can do to give them a little more time, and it's a little bit of a big move, so obviously it's important that you guys hear about it, is that we have decided that at the kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade level, we are no longer going to administer the NWEA test because the state doesn't mandate that you start the test until 3rd grade, but we've been doing it K to 2. I'm on the Western Maine Collaborative, and I talked to a bunch of them, and I was surprised at how many districts there are. Winthrop and a few, I can't remember the districts now, but at least 3 or 4 that are doing the same thing. They're not starting the NWEA until 3rd grade, because what we found is it just when you're getting ready for that test, it's a big test, it takes a little while, and it really throws up their schedule for a whole week in order to get that test done when they do it. and they were doing it 3 times a year, so you're really talking about 3 weeks out of the year that they couldn't focus on curriculum instead of focusing on assessment. And in all reality, at the K-2 level, all they were doing was giving the assessment and getting the result. They had no time to take that information and really dive into it to see exactly what was going on. So we've moved in, and at the K-2 level, as Julie mentioned, we already have assessments built into the inter-reading program to help us with that. There's assessments built into the phonics program. We also have a phonics and Pinnell, which gives us a reading benchmark. So they already had plenty of assessments that we're actually using and being able to use for instruction. And so we just felt as though to do another test just because we've been doing it was kind of foolish, and that we could use that time for things that were, letting kids be kids and not have to be on computers to test and things like that. So that was the decision we made.
Any questions for Chris? Tammy?
I think that was a very good call, because 3 weeks at that level is a lot.
It is.
A lot to lose, yeah. It's a good call on that.
It was all my idea. Unless anybody disagrees with it.
Michelle?
I would agree. I think it's a great call. My only concern is, do you have enough various types of assessment data to triangulate and look at if you do need to make RTI tiered and special education referral decisions?
Yeah, I talked to Sherry, because NWEA isn't nationally normed assessment. We have the STAR assessment, which is also nationally normed, and it takes a day. It's very quick, and teachers can do it independently. We don't have to do a whole schedule for it. So we'll be able to use the STAR for any of those kids that might need RTI or special ed or things like that.
Any other questions for Chris? I have one. We put together the curriculum board members, and do you set up meetings for them to attend, or how does that go?
Yeah, usually, so when we set up the curriculum meetings for the next year, because I'll also put out, for the curriculum teams that are running next year, I'll put out, well, they're not really job postings, but for any of the staff that want to be on it, and they'll put in, and then we'll add them. And then what I do is I create the email, and it goes out to them to let them know when the meetings are going to be.
Okay.
And I just include whoever the board rep is on that email.
Okay, perfect. Can you include me on that email too?
You want all of them?
Just so I know when the meetings are.
Oh, okay, yep.
Yeah, because I would like to have people report on the meetings that they attend and make every. What's that? Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
So does everybody have their committee assignments? And everybody's all set up on their emails and all that? And I've been trying to send out emails to let people know what's going on in the district. We've got, next week's gonna be busy with different things with graduation coming up. And like Andrew said, the Foster Tech promotion is on Monday night at 6. So anyone that wants to attend that, I encourage any of the board members to attend any of the programs that are coming up and sports events and everything. It's a big time of year for all the celebrations for everybody. Thank you, Mason, for everything you've done on the board and all of your achievements in your high school career. You've done a great job. And congratulations to all the seniors, and all the 8th graders that are being promoted, and all of our students that have done a good job throughout the year. That's all I have, and our next meeting, we have the co-curricular hires, the new hires and transfers, resignations and retirements. Next meeting will be June 11th. And that'll be right here, and then June 15th is the last student day of school, which will be an early release day. June 15th is a school board meeting at 6 with a finance meeting as well. I would accept a motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.